one story about New Jersey agriculture is that it's had to change. So whatever farm is doing something, it's not what they were doing a generation ago or two generations ago, generally. So since my family has been farming, they've done dairy cows. I have a great-grandmother who apparently did vegetables, and wheat, soybeans, hay. So it's changed through time, and now organic vegetables. You have to stay pretty nimble to survive, I guess, in Jersey ag.
Welcome to another installment of the Metuchen Farmers Market Presents video series, where we like to go behind the scenes and get to know our local New Jersey producers and people who bring us delicious foods to our farmers markets. I'm Christine Vonderlin. I am on the board of directors of the Metuchen Farmers Market. We're a nonprofit farmers market in Metuchen, New Jersey, Middlesex County. And you can find us every Saturday between June and November in the heart of town at the Town Plaza. And we are so thrilled today to be talking with Jess Niederer of Chickadee Creek Farm in gorgeous Pennington, New Jersey, which is in the greater Princeton area, if you don't know the area. And Jess is a fourth generation farmer, and she leases property on her family's 80-acre farm in Pennington. Jess is probably one of the hardest working people we know. She comes to our market every week, clearly one of our most popular and fascinating vendors that we have. Her gorgeous flowers and herbs and vegetables come to market every week without fail, and she is a female farmer. And she also recently is the mother of twins. We don't know how she does it, but we're here today to go behind the scenes and have her show us how that all gets done. So thanks, Jess. Thanks so much for having us here on your super busy work period. I know spring is every month is tough on the farm, but now you're getting ready to prepare for the markets. I know you do all year round,
right?
But this is a really tough time.
Spring is exciting.
Spring is exciting.
You kind of get to break out into the field all winter. We are growing in our high tunnels. You can see some up there behind us. So we keep on going through the winter in those, but until things dry out enough in the spring, we're just chomping at the bit, waiting to get out into the field again. And it really started in the last couple weeks.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
Yeah,
excellent.
It's great.
Yeah. So tell us, so people know Chickadee Creek Farm. We know you are an organic farm.
Right.
But it wasn't always organic, is that right? So maybe you could tell us a little bit about the history of the farm. And
Yeah. So this is the farm that I grew up on. When I graduated from college, I thought I'd like to make a go at farming. But there's only a couple types of farming you can do in New Jersey that are going to make it possible for it to be your full-time job. And organic vegetable farming is one of those. So I worked on another farm first. And then once I felt like I had a reasonable amount of info to start up with, I asked my dad to lease land here and started Chickadee Creek Farm in 2010.
Yeah. I love the name of the farm.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a great little story. So share that with us.
Yeah, it's hard to name a farm.
Yep.
It's like naming a child, except you have to make it marketable. So I wanted it to mean something to me and to be like a good name for having out there. So people love logos that have animals. Just humans feel connected to animals a lot of the time. So picking an animal made sense. We have a creek that runs through the farm. It's not Chickadee Creek, it's the Stony Brook. But Stony Brook Farm, that was already taken.
Yeah. Right.
And the very first winter that I was starting to work on cleaning up things to get my farm started, I was clearing a hedgerow. It was frigid, it was snowy. The only animal that was out there with me was chickadees. Aww. And chickadees also happened to be the first bird that I worked with when I was doing ornithology work in college. They're really tiny. They have no idea that they're small. They act as if they have just enormous courage, and they'll fight you really hard. So I thought that's kind of appropriate, like starting a tiny farm in the middle of like an agricultural system that could use some work and use some improvement. Like, let's take on the spirit of the Chickadee.
Perfect role model.
Yeah.
Right. Small, tenacious, and strong.
Yeah.
And just like you, and running that.
And out there in all sorts of weather.
Out there in all sorts of weather, right. Having to build the nest and can't complain about it. Got to get out there. Jess, you're walking us up through seems to be the main road to the farm, and most of your crops are behind us now, right?
Yeah, behind and over to the side here. We added on acreage bit by bit as the farm grew, and we attended more markets. So now we're up to 15 acres of vegetables. And an acre is a football field, just for folks that aren't aware about how much that is. Right now, this time of year, we've got, I guess, about 1.5 acres planted already. We've got all of our onions in the ground. We have our first successions of spring greens. And the successions, what that means is that we have to plant it many times through the summer in order to have a consistent supply for the markets. So we've already got, 2 plantings of arugula and salad mix in the ground. Yeah, lettuce is our #1 bestseller on the whole farm. If you combine like head lettuce and salad mix, just the lettuce mix together, it's hands down the winner. Not that there's anything wrong with lettuce, with just straight up lettuce, but I just think it doesn't compare to like the brassica type greens in a salad. These are amazing.
It's like a little bouquet in your hand
I know,
right there. I mean, it's right. That's all you need.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so we've been pretty excited in the last couple of years to start trying to do more with them, like more targeted specialty salad mixes, because it's just, they're so much better than just lettuce.
Yeah. You feel that the nutritional content of your lettuces is stronger, and tell us a little bit about that.
So I can't claim to be a nutritionist, but there are vitamins that start to break down a bit after harvest. And there's things that we can do on our end to minimize that. So the easiest thing is just to get it to customers quickly, so harvest it the day before market. But the other things we can do are harvest it and then get the crop cool quickly. So after we harvest, especially leafy greens, it's called hydro cooling. It just means dunking them in water.
Oh.
So it means like getting them out of the field, out of what's called field heat, and dunking them in water. So let's say we're harvesting on a 70-degree day, all the groundwater's coming up at 56 degrees. So you get it out of the field, dunk it down to 56 degrees. It's also happy because it's not desiccating then. And then we get it into the 34-degree cooler ASAP after that.
Is that how they look so fresh and beautiful when they come to market? I always wondered about that, right? Because you harvest them. Like, how do they do that? They get it so fast.
We harvest, we hydro cool, and then we put them right in the coolers.
When people come to the markets, they ask who's growing organically, and it's not many farmers, and I don't think people understand or can appreciate what it takes to have a certified organic farm in New Jersey. So here you were taking your family's property, which wasn't traditionally organic.
Right.
You made the decision to do that.
Yeah.
So what is involved in
becoming certified?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing in my case was that there was a 3-year period of time after taking over the land from my dad that it couldn't be certified. So he had applied synthetic fertilizers, and you can't have any synthetic substances involved in organic. So there's just a mandatory 3 years from the date of the last application of a prohibited substance before you can even do the application. In the meantime, you have to be conducting yourself within all of the organic rules. So it's not just, organic is not just about don't use synthetic substances. There's also other things that your inspector and that your certifier are going to be checking. They want to make sure you're improving soil condition. So year after year, you have to show them your soil test and say like, yes, I am improving this land not just drawing it down and depleting it.
Yeah.
I'm improving organic matter, not decreasing organic matter, which does have climate change implications too.
Yes.
You have to show that you're doing everything you can to prevent disease and pest issues. So rotating crops, making sure you're selecting varieties that are disease resistant, trying to time your plantings around when pest issues are going to be bad, trellising and pruning to increase airflow, and that decreases fungal and bacterial diseases. So you have to prove that you're doing everything possible preventatively. And there are some organic sprays that you can use, but you can't use them unless you have proved you're doing all of that preventative work first, because that's supposed to be the last thing you can do. The last effort is a spray.
You know, it's nice to know that here in New Jersey, you know, the organizations really do go out of their way to ensure that we are all bringing those products to market that are safe. And, you know, that's heartening. It's a lot of work, but it's reassuring to us.
And I'd also like to take the minute just to make sure I'm not like sounding disparaging about conventional, like non-organic agriculture. The EPA also tests the conventional produce to make sure there's no residues above safe limits on those too. So it's not like our neighborhood conventional farmer is poisoning people.
Of course.
Like there's a lot of rules to that. These were just planted on Friday, so just 3 days ago. And then once they're past what you would call transplant shock, where the roots are able to grow out from the root ball of the pot that they had been in, then they start racing along. And these are actually grafted tomatoes, so they have one tomato variety is the root stock, and it's a really disease-resistant, vigorous root stock. And then when they're very small, we sliced off the top of that and sliced off the top of the type of tomato where we wanted the fruiting characteristics and put that on top of it with a little clip until the tissues melded together. So it's like a Frankenstein-esque tomato where you get really good disease resistance and vigor, but then you get the fruit that you wanted from the one that you put on top.
That is fascinating.
Yeah, it's a lot of tomato surgery.
The crops that you grow a lot of them. They're bumper crops. And also from year to year, you sometimes don't know how much you're going to have of a particular thing. And one thing that we respect and appreciate about Chickadee Creek Farm is that you do things like offer bulk vegetables that people can buy at the market. You give them great deals at the end of the season, but you also you will sauce things. You like a good restaurant or market. You try to use your overage, and you also partner with a lot of local food banks. I know
That's right.
Yeah, the Harvest.
Rolling Harvest.
Rolling
Food
Harvest.
Rescue.
Yeah, you've given to them.
Yeah,
So tell us how you deal with overage and how you work with all the.
Sure, you mentioned a couple things there. So it's not even just the having a lot more than you expected. Sometimes it's that there are seconds quality.
Yeah.
So tomatoes split, tomatoes bruise. Sometimes you have a lot of them. Actually, most crops follow a bell curve in their harvesting. So when their crop is young and starting harvest, they do a little bit, and then it gets to be a lot, and then it tapers down again. And we try to do succession plantings to make the bell curves mash up so that we're at a stable level. But sometimes you get 2 peak periods at the same time. And you just can't do anything with thousands of pounds of tomatoes.
It's a gamble with nature. You're you're trying to make that work. But.
Yeah. So both for the seconds quality stuff, the bruised tomatoes, and for when we just have so much. We work with a small family cannery called Bauman's out in Sassamanville, Pennsylvania, and they will make salsa and tomato sauce from that extras that we have.
Oh, nice.
So
those are the ones that we see at your market? Yeah, oh, great.
Yeah.
They're delicious.
Yeah, so it's all of the produce from our farm, but then they have the facility to cook it all down, chop it all up. They have machines that chop it all up, and then jar it there, and then we'll come and pick it up. So we take a box truck load of ingredients there and then come back with a much smaller pallet of jars after it's all cooked down. Yeah.
It's all pretty and in containers then. Yeah, they
do a great job.
in addition to growing on the farm and bringing all of your crops to farmers markets every week, you also have a CSA.
We do, yeah. So we sell to any customer that walks up to us, but we also have a community-supported agriculture program, or a CSA program. We had 10 members the first year. I had 10 members the first year, and now we have 830, I think.
Wow,
That's
growth.
Yeah, we've got a lot of members now. And the way our CSA works is that members prepay, pretty typical for all CSAs, and then we add a bulk discount to the amount that was prepaid, and that becomes a debit account, more or less, with our farm. So when members come and find us at market, they select whatever they wanted, and the dollar amount of what they selected gets debited out from their CSA account.
With the pricing, right? You have to price the vegetables for your CSA products, for your farm workers products. How do you do that? And how have you dealt with issues like inflation? And then the second to that would be how you got through the pandemic.
We hadn't raised prices since 2010, and then this year costs, like supply costs, just went through the roof. And I'm also concerned about the people who work here, because everybody is experiencing rising costs of all of their gas, their food. So we do have to make sure that the farmers who are working here with us are taken care of. So we looked at those numbers and decided on pretty moderate price increases so that we can stay treading water.
And that's just to tread water.
It's to tread water.
So when people see that, they should know it goes into it and the hard decision that it took to get
calculated.
there.
It's not
arbitrary.
It's not arbitrary, and it's to make sure that we don't fall behind, and that our staff doesn't fall behind. And I can just only hope other employers are trying to do the same thing. Make sure their people aren't falling behind.
Oh, hope you enjoyed this behind-the-scenes view of Chickadee Creek Farm with farmer Jess Niederer and her hardworking team who bring you these gorgeous vegetables and flowers and herbs to your local farmers markets here in New Jersey. We've learned so much about sustainable and organic farming and all the beautiful things that come to market, and we hope that you will continue to watch our video series, and most important, please get to know your local farmers, frequent your markets, enjoy those gorgeous vegetables, ask questions, and be part of that community that is New Jersey Fresh. Thank you so much.